Joe Biden's had a lead for a couple months now, and while the coronavirus is top of mind for people, and given that, as your numbers show, that Biden's doing much better among those in terms of handling the coronavirus in terms of the American audience, that is clearly has catapulted him into the lead, and it's what really is keeping him there for all intents and purposes right now.
It will probably, unfortunately, get worse before it gets better. Something I don't like saying about things, but that's the way it is. It's what we have. You look over the world, it's all over the world.
This man simply doesn't understand. He can't deal with our economic crisis without serving and saving and solving the public health crisis. For all his bluster about his expertise on the economy, he's unable to explain how it will actually help working families hit the hardest. He's quit on you, and he's quit on this country.
It's, I think, pretty instructive that Biden is perceived as better able to handle the virus than Trump is, given that Biden has had no opportunity to really make any kind of policy, to take any kind of leadership, other than what he can say from his basement or other than his occasional public appearances where he might wear a mask. And again, it's not to suggest that a Biden presidency can remarkably transform the course of the virus, but it's just to say that right now, on the issue that dominates the news, voters don't think Trump is doing a good job, and many of them are willing to pass the baton to Biden. And unless the news shifts to an issue completely different than the pandemic, it's hard to imagine that this won't continue to provide serious headwinds for Trump's reelection.
You're behind in the polls in most battleground states right now. What's your plan to catch up to Joe Biden, and will you debate him in the fall?
Well, it's like with Hillary. I was behind in the polls in the battleground states and every poll, and then I ended up winning all those states. You remember that well. But polls are fake, just like the reporters in the news are fake. There's so much of it that's false, and that excludes you, of course. But the polls are fake, and they're called suppression polls. They're supposed to be to take people's enthusiasm.
But first of all, I don't think that is what happened in 2016. I think the national polls clearly were showing a narrow Clinton advantage in the popular vote, which is what happened. And some of the state polls had been completed earlier, before the Comey letter and before the late movement the exit polls showed towards Donald Trump. So if a poll's done as a snapshot before those closing decisions by voters, it's not going to necessarily capture that, couldn't capture that. So I don't see how there could be a shy Trump voter in the state polls, but not in the national polls. So the national polls were done right up till election day, and they captured whatever was out there fairly accurately. So there's a lot of reasons why I don't necessarily, beyond those numbers, adhere to that view, although it's a popular view. And there's one thing to talk about a silent majority in terms of your support, which dates back decades. Certainly Richard Nixon was talking about that 50 years ago. I think you go back to what the polls are showing. The polls are showing, all of them are showing Joe Biden lead by varying degrees, but they are showing also that there is, Donald Trump has a stewardship factor on the economy. And right now, that's not where people are focusing. Donald Trump would sure like them to be doing that by election day.